Okay, so we're at home, a lot of parents working from home, and I want to talk about parenting and specifically parenting styles or techniques. There's something that is called positive parenting, and some people are now questioning, is it maybe not all so rosy? Okay, what's positive parenting? This is the style where there is more explaining to children, there's less punishment, more positive rewards, certainly no shaming, certainly no shouting. But there's a piece now in the BBC News, and they're saying, but maybe this is actually taking a bit of a toll on the parents who are utilizing this strategy of parenting. And maybe it's also a disservice to the kids who are not seeing quote unquote negative emotions in their family.
Mm.
Oh, I love these parenting topics. Let's dive in.
Well, I feel that my parents weren't upbeat all the time. Like, yes, there was so much laughter, there was hugging, there was loving, but I also saw them being angry and sad and frustrated, AKA like the range of human emotions, like it was a microcosm to the rest of our life. And I feel really lucky to have experienced that. And I also really appreciate that our ideas, the ideas that my brother and I had and presented to them, they were taken seriously and they were always answered in a really serious way and a thoughtful way. A quick story. When I was a kid, there was a girl who lived down the street and she was Baptist. And every Sunday there would be a Baptist minister that would come in her backyard. I think it was around 6. I was around 6 years old. And to be honest, I went to this Baptist backyard Bible lesson party for the Kool-Aid and the cookies. But there was one lesson, and I was so distraught by it. I remember racing home, jumping into my dad's lap and say, "Okay, Pops, we got to have a talk. You have to let Jesus into your heart. Only you have the key. And if you don't let him in, you're going to burn in a lake of fire." And I was crying because I knew my dad didn't believe that. And he calmly sort of told me, that's not going to happen. And he also encouraged me to keep going to those sessions. He didn't, he wasn't afraid that maybe I was being indoctrinated in some way about lakes of fire. He encouraged me to go back to those lessons. He encouraged me to read the Bible, and he encouraged me to make up my own mind. I really value that now, sitting where I am and looking back.
Wow, that is a story indeed. When I was reading about positive parenting, I basically was like, our generation, certainly my generation of kids, like we actually have no idea what that means because the idea of the psychology behind parenting, that was not a thing for our parents. They were just trying to get through the darn day. Like, to be perfectly honest, certainly with my immigrant parents, the idea of child psychology was like, what? I need to put food on the table. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So what I've learned, luckily throughout all the ages now, is that we have learned a lot about developmental psychology and child psychology. And we have certainly, I think, changed our ways. I hope we haven't gone too far the other way. I don't know if that's exactly positive parenting. You guys have heard the term lawnmower parents, which is the evolution of the helicopter parent who's always around and hovering. The lawnmower parent is the one that actually tries to mow down any obstacles, challenges, or difficulties before their child ever gets there.
Yeah.
And I hope we haven't gone that way. What I have been learning with my daughter, as you sort of put this parenting into practice, A, it's extremely hard. And B, what I've also learned, and I'm learning more every day, is that our children don't want perfect parents. They want honesty. I think they want honest parents. So that has been the technique with which Ryan and I have been raising Marqueza, which is when she asks about things, challenging things, difficult things, it's our thing to not shy away, to not back down, and to certainly not quiet her or silence her, but to answer in an age-appropriate way. So honesty over perfection.
Yeah. It's interesting, excuse me, Jess, you mentioned about your parents and the way you were raised. I feel like we grew up in a similar, same generation. And for me, it was like my parents, I had a bit of, like a substantial amount of healthy fear. There was so much love and joy in our house, but I knew the rules and I was a little bit afraid. Like that was just like a kind of through line. My son is not afraid of me. And so it's this interesting thing. Like, I've gone into this, I guess, this positive parenting landscape. Like, I wanted to, sort of treat my son with certain respect. I've tried really hard to learn how to manage my emotions. I haven't been perfect. So when I do something like yell when I'm very frustrated, when I've gotten to that point, I feel terrible afterwards. I'm quite certain my dad and my mom never have, like, when they were raising us, they didn't feel bad about that. That was just part of the way that you raised a child. Whereas I feel now this kind of like, oh my God, I've messed him up for life. And right now it's been particularly amplified again because of COVID. We're all in the house. We were trying to homeschool. We've been trying to keep Jaya busy, and he was doing really well for a while, but in the last month, I've just seen like a kind of like light sort of dimming out of him. And I'm at a loss as to some of the stuff that's come up because I've not been trained in like early childhood education. I've just sort of been this parent kind of like leading with my heart, and I'm not sure I've served him the best in these circumstances. And I don't know. Here's what I don't know. I don't know if I would have been better off or he would be better off if he had clear rules and clear discipline and clear order and structure and then consequences all the time. Or if this is just kind of a phase that no matter what, and our kind of like cocooning, loving, positive, you're good thing is ultimately going to serve him better. That's the thing about parenting is you really don't know until like 20 years down the road if what you did was good or not. It's really hard.
We'll hear about it when they're in therapy. Is that it? Because that's what I'm pretty much assuming is going to happen.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something that it was go ahead.
No, I want you to go. I want to hear what you had to say.
Only that respect versus fear. I think we're the generation that maybe some parents misunderstood fear for respect. All I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like
really
that a lot.